change, and it certainly was. But the big message for change was to get Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael out of government. I mean, every door I knocked on, we're sick of them, we don't want them anymore. That was the response.
They still gave them 43% of the seats in the Dáil.
In working class areas in Dublin, People's Republic of South Central and all the rest of it, they did not want Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael back in. Now, I know that's an exceptional constituency, but they still, you're right, they gave them the seats that they won. But the problem with saying we will do a deal with Fianna Fáil and go into government with Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael is that you run the risk of being swamped like the Greens were, like the past, like Aon admitted himself. They have a tragic history in the Labour Party of being swamped and squashed by right-wing policies, having gone into governments with Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. And I don't think, really, I think the left should have a different mindset about the outcome of this election. Change is not just all about parliamentary arithmetic. It's also about people and what they do. And if you look across Ireland today, there are at least 4 colleges occupied by students saying, we're not putting up with this, we can't afford to live in this society, we're not getting a decent education. In 2 weeks' time, we're going to have a massive climate change march, like we've had massive ones in the lead up to the election. During the election campaign, there was a national strike by teachers. There was also one of the biggest marches we've ever seen of young women calling for proper childcare. So the issues are not going to go away. And the people have to be involved in this conversation. And I love the way you asked the question at the beginning when you said, oh, Harry, what happened today? It's like you're almost drained of energy listening to this endless debate. And I believe that a lot of the tactics, particularly of Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, is to bore the population to death. So in the end, we're just going to have to put up with them. They'll do a stitch up. They'll both get back in together. And when they talk about the shadowy characters behind Mary Lou and the left, when they talk about the shadowy characters behind the Ard they want the population to ignore the shadowy figures in the clearance house. They want the population to ignore the shadowy figures in the stock exchange and the banks who are telling them, do not let the left or Fianna Fáil.
So Sinn Féin explain what you mean by the people need to be involved in the conversation. It's not just about dollar arithmetic, because actually putting together government is about the numbers. I mean, it has to be ultimately.
Change is not just about dollar arithmetic. So it also has to be about what the people want.
Okay.
And we've seen it in the colleges today. Now, I don't have to repeat the points I made.
I know, but I'm just wondering.
But I do think that unless we are mobilising these issues all the time, any government formation is likely to give us more of the same. Where is the radical change come from if you don't challenge the tax haven that Ireland is, if you don't take the wealth from the wealthy and begin to redistribute it? You cannot give the change. And if you don't give that change and go after the tax haven status that is this country, take the Apple tax back, you're not going to be able to deliver the change that the students are screaming for, that the nurses are screaming for, that the teachers are
I have to deliver an
minority government. We're not going to concede on that. It is possible.
I have to go to an ad.
You're not getting the answers from Dr. Holohan or the previous speaker. Is the capacity of our health service to cope with any increase in any other epidemics or contagious illnesses? Because already, I mean, don't have to tell the Irish public the state of our health service, but it is a fact that per head of the population, we've got less than half of the emergency beds that are required when you look at the European average. And then we've got less than half of the ICU consultants that are needed. So we're already, some of our hospitals are operating at 110% capacity, which is in itself is a very dangerous position for a health service to be in, because that allows for the spread of more diseases. It doesn't give time for wards or beds to clear out, for the air to clear, anything else. So apart from the crisis of of the patients lying on trolleys throughout our hospitals, apart from the crisis in our ICU units, we are not going to be able to cope with an epidemic like this. And that's what they're not saying. They're not owning up to say, we're in trouble, lads. And he's saying, give me time, I'll prepare, give me time, we'll prepare. Could they have said that in the last 10 years about time to prepare to get rid of the trolley crisis, to give us at least a fraction of the 2,500 beds that were promised under Sláinte Care 7 years ago? They've done none of that. So why should we have any confidence in them? Whatever about the individual, how he or she travelled and how we might be contaminated, this will repeat itself. There will be more incidents, because when you look at the rate, as I say, that has travelled throughout Europe and beyond, it is bound to come to the Republic, and we're not ready for it, and we can't be.
Alan?
Well, just
We're not giving up. We're not conceding.
But that would require...
We're meeting Sinn Féin tomorrow. We're going to have 2-hour conversation with them. We're meeting the Greens later on. We are looking at asking those who were elected for change to stick together and attempt to form a left minority government.
As you say, it would have to be a minority government, so that would require Fine Gael to agree to support you in a confidence supply arrangement.
Or to butt out. They have said all along, they keep saying, Mary Lou got the popular vote, let her try and make a government. They've said it repeatedly.
But that's not democracy.
But it's not that realistic as a proposition going
why
forward.
Is it not? I mean, within a short period of time, a left minority government could actually do a lot of good for the country. We could actually reverse the pension age to 65. We could stop the sell-off of public land and give a commitment that public housing will be built on public land.
But you can't do any of this unless you get a stable government.
And
the numbers
can I make a quick point here?
There's left minority governments in other countries. They do work.
For all the criticism that the Labour Party gets, there wouldn't be any public land if it wasn't for the Labour Party being in government under the Troika when they wanted to sell off the whole thing. I'll make a bold prediction. There won't be another general election in the short term. I don't feel there will. And I'm pretty convinced that this